So we are live now. So I request Dr. Shilata Rao Madam to welcome the gathering, please.
Thank you, sir. Very, very good afternoon to you all. Basaveshwara Engineering College, Department of Management Studies, Bagalkot, Karnataka, India, is organizing international webinar on research in ethics. I, Dr. Srilata R. Rao, Professor, Department of Management Studies, Basaveshwara Engineering College, welcome with pleasure to this special international live webinar, Research in Ethics, which is highly relevant in today's academic industrial scenario. And in this world, it is very important for the knowledge sharing, for the personal and the organizational development also. Through these webinars, it is possible now. For this special event, I proudly welcome Principal, Basaveshwara Engineering College, Dr. S.S. Engineering, who is supporting, working hard and developing a progressive learning environment across our college. Welcome you, sir. I'm very happy to welcome resource person of today, Dr. Amitabh Anand, who is young Kannadiga professor working at prestigious Schema Business School, France, and awarded as top 50 best professors in the world. I repeat, as named as top 50 best professors in the world by American-based prestigious Poets and Quants, a web-based communication institution. His interest in research, knowledge management, knowledge sharing, social entrepreneurship, international learning, competency in literature review certainly enrich our participants' knowledge field. I welcome Dr. Amitabh Anand with a feeling of great pleasure and proudness. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
I also welcome Head of the Department of Management Studies, Basaveshwara Engineering College, Dr. Sanjay Hangi, a very dynamic professor and encouraging to organize varieties of management workshops, MDPs, SCBs throughout the year. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Without taking much of the time, I wholeheartedly welcome all participants, around 2,000 registered participants all over the world who are eagerly waiting to enhance their knowledge in research area. I welcome all the participants. I heartily welcome my coordinator of this event, Professor Brit Mohan Das, and all the professors of our department as well as our college to the webinar. I also welcome our dear students of Department of Management Studies as well as Basaveshwara Engineering College to listen this a very special research in ethics webinar. Thank you all. I welcome wholeheartedly each and everybody present here. Thank you very much. Dr.
Even in India, UGC has guidelines regarding the ethical dimensions or ethical dimensions in research. Now there is an entire document which is there in UGC. However, there are certain concerns for research scholars, young budding research scholars. They don't know when they are publishing their papers, where to publish. There are a lot of fraud journals also available. I mean, UGC had blacklisted them, but unknowingly what happens is some people publish in such journals which will not give them any credibility, and also it will also not have a good impact. So how to publish in better quality journals, Scopus Index, Web of Science, in top reputed publishers like Elsevier, Web of Science, Springer journals. how to do that and how to be ethical. But there are a lot of paid journals also available, like how to escape such journals and get our work published in a better journals. That's what is the context of today's webinar is all about. However, there will be a lot of other facets also which the resource person will be touching here. One important thing I'd like to talk about, Dr. Anand, and maybe especially Schema Business School, it is accredited by 3 international bodies. One is EQUIS, which is a very important agency abroad, and Mba, EMBA, and also AACSB. It is accredited by many organizations, but these are the 3 prominent accredited agencies which Schema is approved. And yeah, that's all about this webinar today. And before we hear to the resource person, I request our beloved principal who had been support to our department on all the activities. I request Dr. S.S. Engineering, Principal of Basveshwar Engineering College, to address the gathering. Just a second, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Sanjay. Myself, Dr. S.S. Engineering, Principal, Basveshwar Engineering College, Bagalkot. It gives me immense pleasure at the very outset on behalf of myself and the entire BEC fraternity to heartily welcome Dr. Amitabh Anand for this webinar. Sir, welcome to you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
And I'm also very happy to say that I learned from Dr. Sanjay Hanji that there are around 1,500 plus participants who are attending this webinar. Now, my job as a principal of this college would like to highlight some of the important features of Basveshwar Engineering College and as well as in particular the MBA department. Basveshwar Engineering College, Bagalkot is one of the constituent colleges of the prestigious trust in Karnataka, Basveshwara Veerashaiva Vidyavardhaka Sangha, BVVS, popularly known as. And under the banner of BVVS, there are around 140 plus colleges which are being run right from kindergarten to research. And Basveshwar Engineering College, Bagalkot, was established in 1963 with only 3 departments and an intake of around 200. But today we have 10 UG departments and 7 postgraduate departments, and 8 of the departments being recognized by as research centers by VTU Belagavi also. So the total strength on the campus is around 3,500, and we are spread on a beautiful scenic land of around 93 to 94 acres of land on the new township of Bagalkot, popularly known as Navanagar. BVV Sangha was established in 1906 and it started off with only 1 Sanskrit Pathshala. And as already mentioned that today we are around 140 plus institution, and it has been catering to the education of northern part of Karnataka or the students of northern part of Karnataka. I would rather say in a population of around 1.5 lakh, without BVV Sangha, Bagalkot will be 50% less. So it gives us a dimension as to what is the contribution of BVV Sangha in the field of education. MBA department is a very young department, established in 2009 as compared to the college as a whole, because we are almost now 60 years and the MBA department is around 11 years old. So in that perspective, I would rather say it's a very young department. But nevertheless, it has been doing extremely well in the last 11 years since it has been instituted at Basveshwar Engineering College as one of the departments. So MBA department is affiliated to VTU Belagavi and also approved by AICTE in New Delhi. And we have around 60% of the faculty who have their qualification, that is the doctoral degrees. And another 2 are pursuing. I am very certain in a year or 2 down the line, all faculty will be with doctorate degrees also. So they have different specializations, marketing, finance, and human resources mainly, where our strength is. And our students are also placed in very reputed companies. To name a few, I would rather say Asian Paints, Thomson Reuters Corporation, JP Morgan Chase and Company, Saint Gobain, Tata Steel, and things like that, and many of the banks and cement industries in and around Bagalkot or the northern part of Karnataka. So they have been very well placed, and I would rather congratulate the head of the department and all the faculty members of MBA for having contributed and put up a good show that the students are being well placed. I am certain in the days to come also they will take the institution and the department to the newer heights. Basaveshwar Indian College, Bagalkot, by virtue of its efforts and hard work, rather I would say, I am very happy to say that all the 10 departments, undergraduate departments at our college have been accredited by National Board of Accreditation, New Delhi, and we are also accredited by NAC of UGC. We have also been accredited by one of the agencies of UK, that is the QS Gauge, which is also very popular. These all go, and we feel proud that we have been accredited by 3 accreditation bodies. Apart from that, at the national level, recently, I am very happy to say that the Basaveshwar Indian College, Bagalkot, has secured or has been placed in a rank band of 201 to 250 out of almost 3,500 engineering colleges across the country. So last year we were at 191. Nevertheless, this time we are slipped because of some obvious reasons, a few ranks down. But in the year to come, definitely we'll be able to make up this and we'll be able to secure higher rank. So this NIRF, National Institute Ranking Framework, is a ranking which is being announced by MHRD, New Delhi, and since 2015, I would rather say 5 times, 5 years they have announced, and 1 year they did not announce. Out of the 4 times, we all already secured rank 3 times, and we hope to do our best in the coming year also. And recently, the impact of COVID, this has been global across the world, and we have all experienced the problems, and we know we have encountered the problem, and this has also caused the damage to across all the fields, and especially to the field of education, where schools and colleges have not yet been started, but where we have been compared, or we have the other way of choosing is to impart education through the digital mode. And in this also, Basaveshwar Indian College has taken a giant step, and we have been again awarded a certification from QS Gauge, which is normally called as E-Lead, on 1st of June 2020. So this E-Lead certification, I would rather say, only speaks of the preparedness of the institution as well as the faculty to impart education to the students through digital mode. So it's a proud moment for all of us, and our faculty and students have done extremely well in securing this certification from QS Gauge. So without taking much of the time, I would rather say, all in all, Basaveshwar Indian College is one of the prestigious institutions, has made a greater impact at national level ever since it has been established, that is 1963. So with these few words, I would rather say congratulate the coordinator as well as the head of the department of this webinar, that is ethics in research, and this is a very right and apt topic that is being chosen, and also we have a very renowned speaker for today, that is for this webinar, Dr. Amitabh Anand, where in the instance of quantifying things, we have all lost the quality of the research work. That means we have lost the ethics and the morality of publishing these attainments or the things that we have achieved. So I think Dr. Amitabh Anand will be the right person to speak on this particular topic, where we are all lost in the race of gaining into or quantifying the things rather than emphasizing on the quality and ethics. So with these few words, I thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to share my few ideas and expressing about the institution. I hope all the participants definitely will be benefited by the presence of Dr. Amitabh Anand. Sir, I on behalf of the institution, thank you once again and wishing you the best. I also invite you to our organization or the college when you are at India. So thank you once again.
Thank you, sir.
To the principal, I just forgot to mention, sir, we have participants from USA, France, some parts of Europe, Australia, Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, China, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan, sir. I request you to welcome them because we forgot to welcome them in the beginning, sir, actually. And few of the countries which I have not mentioned, and of course from India as well. Yes.
Sanjay,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Yeah, shall I take leave of you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Dr. Anand, please kindly excuse me. I have some other commitment.
No problem, sir.
And hope so we will meet shortly in a short period of time.
Sure. Hopefully, sir.
Thank you very much for supporting us. Wishing you all the best.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. So, I welcome all of you for this webinar. So, I just mentioned that we have participants from USA, France, some other countries from Europe, Australia, Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, China, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and of course, some other countries which are not mentioned. Please apologize me. And I welcome all of you. And of course, participants from India and from our college. I welcome all of you to this webinar. Now, we are waiting for the most important part by the resource person. So I request, I leave the floor open to Dr. Amitabh Anand to take over the session, sir.
All right, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes.
So I'm going to start my slide. I just hope everybody can see it.
Yes, sir. One second, sir. I'll just...
So please confirm
Yes.
me once everybody can see the slide.
Yes, sir. We are able to see the slide.
Okay. So I'll start, sir. I'll take over then. Okay.
Yeah, please.
Okay. So first of all, I want to thank Dr. Sanjay Hanji, the management of Basveshwar Engineering College, and principal sir, and all the coordinators for inviting me and asking me to share few of my experience about research and specifically ethics in research. So the reason why we chose this topic is because we realized that there are certain important and critical information that some people across India they should know. Okay, so although in my talk I'm going to take most examples from India, but there will be some other resources that I would be sharing, which will probably help people even in the other countries as well. Okay, so please excuse me because this research is going to be more focused on Indian subcontinent, and it will be pertaining to a few examples from India. Okay, so with this, let me just start, and I'm going to explain the agenda today. Okay. Firstly, I think all of you know my name. My name is Amitabh. I live in Caen city in south of France. Okay, and I work for Schema Business School, and we have around 5 campuses all across the globe, including in China, Raleigh, US, Brazil, and then South Africa. Okay, so I'm working here for the last. I'm in France for the last 6 years, and I've been working in this institution for the last 4 years. Okay, in the capacity of assistant professor. So I teach doing business in Europe, knowledge management for research students, and then I teach human resource and organization behavior. So this is my main area of teaching and research interest. So moving ahead, I am going to talk to you about few interesting points that we all should know, in terms of research. So my today's agenda of talk will be more focused on these particular points. Number one is why should I be doing research? So all of you should ask questions to yourself that why do you want to actually do research, and why are we supposed to get into the mode of research? Why is that many of the institutions and UGC and AICTE and many other top institutions are now emphasizing people to get into research? So I'll be talking a bit about that. And then the next important question is, am I doing it honestly and effectively? So sometimes we need to ask questions to ourselves, to see whether the research that I'm doing, am I doing it honestly, or am I doing it effectively? Okay. And when I say that, am I clear where I have to publish and where to avoid? Do I have all the information? Do I have all the resources? Do I have all the necessary skills and all the databases, the network, and the passion to do research? Okay. And if so, if I have all these things, where can I collaborate? How do I collaborate? Where will I find people who are working in research? Where can I find some people who are exactly matching my area of expertise? Where and how I can find. Okay. And then the last important, that we all need to think is, do I have the time to dedicate and do research? Because research is not something that we can do it overnight. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort. Okay. So I'll be sharing my personal experiences as well, while I'm talking, and then I'll be giving you certain other examples, is that when I go to India and I teach, the problems that I encountered when I was interacting with many of the universities, I'll be also talking to you about that. So moving ahead, the first important thing I would like to show you this one. Last year, exactly 1 year ago, okay, if you see the slide, UGC actually gave a notice to all the academic institutions about having the academic integrity. Okay, now this was very important because UGC started to realize that there are certain people and there are certain institutions who actually are not aware that the kind of research activity and the kind of publication that they are doing, they might be doing in some fake journals, or what we call it as predatory journals. Okay, so in order to curb these kind of issues, what UGC did is UGC started to send out notices to all the universities, institutions, colleges, asking them to maintain highest academic integrity. Okay, so this was in the beginning that UGC started to realize that we need to kind of emphasize people to be more ethical in terms of their research, more ethical in terms of their publication, and more ethical in terms of their collaboration. Okay, now exactly following this notification, exactly after 6 months, UGC released one of the very important notification, which I felt very happy. Okay, this should have been done many years ago, but I think there are certain incidences that happened, which I'll be showing you in my next slide. So due to that, UGC decided that okay, we need to have a module on research and publication ethics. Now, this news just is a 6-month-old news, and I'm sure most of you are aware of this. So UGC made it mandatory now for PhD students, the students who have registered in the academic year, the final academic year of 2019, and the students who are going to pursue their first year of PhD in 2020. So all the students in all across the universities in India are now obliged to take a compulsory course on research and publication ethics. Okay, now this is very important, and I'm going to tell you why. Have a look at this information that you see on your screen. So these are the news clippings that I took from India, Hindu, and many other online news medias. Okay, now why UGC started to emphasize more on ethics in research is because of these issues that happened globally. Okay, so as you can see, there are certain dubious, there are certain fake and predatory publication houses that exist in India. Unfortunately, some of the scholars in India became vulnerable. Basically they were not aware of things. That's why it is important to educate people on where to and where to avoid, how to collaborate and how not to collaborate, who are the people to collaborate and who are the people not to collaborate, which are the ones which are highly ranked, prestigious, where I can publish, and which are the ones I can avoid. How do I get all this information? So unfortunately, what happened, even though the informations were present, okay, so that was not reaching to most of the faculties across India. So unfortunately, what happened, these kind of fake publication houses, they try to catch the most vulnerable section in India. So when these things started to happen, UGC started to realize that, oh my God, okay, so there seems to be a big problem. Because when such kind of fake publication and publication that has absolutely no worth, especially pay and publish, okay, now UGC panel is also thinking, okay, so we have a strong UGC panel which is also thinking that from next year, or probably by end of this year, they are going to implement a very strong policy where if you are publishing in journals which is called as the pay and publish, that means you pay some amount of processing charges or fees and then you publish, it would not be counted for your promotion or for your point system. Okay, so this is what I have understood after reading the news. So you have to be very careful that in future, if you want to publish, in journals. So you should actually check the journal credibility, which I'll be telling you how. Okay, you have to see whether they're asking just money. And there are some dubious journals across, online. I mean, if you go to any of the Facebook pages, or if you go to some of the WhatsApp groups, there are many advertisements that I keep seeing which says, publish your journal in Scopus in 1 month, publish your journal in Scopus indexed, publish your article in Scopus index journal in 2 weeks. Okay, which I believe is very dangerous. Okay, so based on all this information that I started to gather, I realized that, okay, there are certain things at least I should make some effort to let people know that, what are the precautions that they can take in terms of having ethics in research. See, because UGC has now made very strong rules, and UGC is going to monitor everything, and they are extremely careful that, the standards of research and ethics in research is highly maintained. Okay, so that is one of the reasons why I showed you the two press releases that UGC made in the beginning, exactly 1 year ago, and the other one is just 6 months ago. Okay, so because of all these issues that is happening across the globe, and when Indian academics were felt that, we are leading in publishing fake journals because we were not exposed, or we were not aware that, these things can also exist. Okay, I don't say because they only target the vulnerable sections in India. Okay, and everybody has passion, everybody wants to do research, but unfortunately what happened was, we were not aware that, where I should go and where I shouldn't go. And not just that, one more most important thing is there are some journals, because UGC has a very strong protocol now that we need to publish papers in Scopus index journals. Okay, now you would be surprised, have a look at this next slide. You would be surprised that, there are some predatory journals even indexed in Scopus. Now this is even more dangerous. Okay, so obviously there are some journals where some people publish which are not indexed in Scopus. Okay, however, there are some journals which are also indexed in Scopus, but yet they are predatory and yet they are fake. Okay, now obviously there are some investigations going on, obviously there are some background checkings going on, but yet there are some people who can still dupe the system. Okay, so when you are working in a system, there is always good and there is always bad, but we have to ensure that, we have to quantify between the good and bad, and make sure that, we focus only on good. So there is an online document, developed by the Sergey institution in Prague, Czech Republic, one of the universities there. So they have done a complete analysis, which you can probably have a look online, about the list of predatory journals in Scopus. Okay, so this might also give you an idea. Okay, that okay, if I'm going to publish in a Scopus index journal, I need to ensure that, this journal is also not fake. Okay, this journal is also not having any issues, because and these things started to happen only in recent years. I'm just sharing one of the editorial written in Journal of Public Health, where some professors have explained that, the predatory journals in Scopus started to inflate very highly. Okay, so you should also be aware that, it's not just publishing in Scopus journal would actually give you points. There are some journals where you need to avoid, and I'll tell you why in the end of my slide. Okay, so most of the time, what I do, or what most people do, or what I would advise all of you to do is, if you have a journal in mind, so please excuse me, this what I'm talking is from the perspective of management and business, because I come from a business school. Okay, and for engineering and for other disciplinary people, I'm sure there are similar websites, you can find it. But however, I'm going to share one general website which you can actually have a look and check the credibility of a journal. Okay, so most of the times what we normally do, or I normally do, is if I have a doubt about a journal when I have to publish, I usually go to their website. Okay, so there are many strong and highly powerful and well established websites and publishing houses like Emerald. We have John Wiley and Sons, we have Sage Publication, Tanda Infoline, and Springer. Okay, so most of these journals to an extent have all legitimate, highly ranked and prestigious journals across the globe. Okay, however, when you are in a doubt, always try to ensure that you go to the website of the journal and check it. Okay, since we are going online, since we are going to be streamed, there are certain things I actually removed from my slide because it might hurt someone's sentiments. but I'll still be sharing with you in the end. All right, and try to see whether the journals that you're trying to target to publish, whether they have these DOAJ, Directory of Open Access Journal membership, whether they have Committee on Publication Ethics membership, because these are standard organization and standard bodies. So if a journal has to have some kind of credibility, they have to be also member of this. So that's the usual thing people check. The next one is you need to check the journal's contact information, whether, most journals sometimes, even though they're highly ranked, they don't give the official email. They sometimes tend to give you Gmail ID or Hotmail ID. That also calls for some suspiciousness sometimes, not all the time. So you need to check about that. Then research the editorial board members. A journal's credibility, a journal's value and its ranking and its outreach, it actually depends on the editorial board. You need to check who is the editor-in-chief, how many associate editors are there, where are they from, what institution they belong to, okay, and see the editorial board members. So all those editorial board members should, obviously, most of the journals, they tend to have, highly prestigious and well-established scholars to join their editorial board. So that can also give you sometimes a hint that, okay, I see some suspicion here, and then you can take a decision. Okay, and then the most important thing is you have to see the peer review process and publication timelines. Okay, never ever submit to a journal which says, publish in 1 month, publish in 2 months, or publish in 3 weeks, and indexed in Scopus journals. Okay, it is, I don't know. I mean, see, in my experience, I have seen peer review process. For example, when I have to review a paper, I actually take at least sometimes 1 month or sometimes 2 months, because I have to go line by line. I have to read everything, because a editor of a journal, is completely trusting me. Okay, he or she is completely trusting me, because the review report that I'm going to give is actually going to help the person who has submitted his article to the journal. Okay, and if that person has submitted, it is my duty, or it is the peer review process utmost duty, to ensure that we give points to improvise, we appreciate whatever they have done, and at some point we have to say that this thing might have to be changed, or these things are not correct, you need to rework on this. So everything depends on us. Okay, and it's hard to believe sometimes when I see some advertisements on Facebook or sometimes online, and I keep getting a lot of emails. I just wanted to show you some of the screenshots, but I'll see if I can show you that. So I keep getting so many mails where people say, can you review this in 1 week and we'll pay you money. Okay, and some people say, would you like to collaborate with us, for one publication I'll give you 50,000. And there are some journals which have written to me that, sir, if you want to take 1 or 2 co-authors to your paper that you're going to publish, we'll pay 1 lakh per author. Now these things started to bother me in last couple of years, that how come they get to know me, because what they do is they simply go to all these great journals, they study the editorial boards, and obviously our email IDs, everything is available on the journal website. So they simply send us an email. Okay, and they try to be hiding behind the mask, and they never reveal their identity. They say we only deal with encryptions and some secret words. But that's what I'm telling you. So you have to ensure that you're publishing in a good journal which also follows certain ethics. Okay, and another thing how you can actually measure the credibility of a journal is you try to read some of the articles that have been published in the past. Okay, so when you read those articles, you'll get a feeling that, okay, the quality seems to be very bad here, or the quality seems to be very high here. Okay, I think I can try, because the past issues will give you an idea whether the articles that have been published over there are written by serious professors, or is it just written, okay, for the sake of writing and for the sake of getting indexed in Scopus. So that we all need to check. So following that, the other thing what I usually do, and what I would suggest most of you to do, is SGR, the SIMAGO journal ranking is widely used. Okay, and whenever you have any doubt regarding any of the journal, what you can do is you can actually type the name of the journal on this website. Okay, and try to see the quartile category, whether it is ranked Q1, Q2, Q3, or Q4. Okay, so now I'm trying to come to tell you, where you should publish and how you should, try to figure out, where you shouldn't be publishing. So in STR ranking, normally, what I advise for my PhD students and what I advise to most of my colleagues across India and other places is it should be in Q1, Q2, and Q3. Okay. So if you're publishing in Q1, Q2, and Q3 ranked journals, it's really good. Okay. To an extent, it is better. And if something is Q4, you need to actually sort of rethink about that. Okay. So Q4 journals are those journals which are absolutely new, which are trying to emerge, and sometimes, okay, they might be even predatory or fake, which we will not be knowing. Okay, so advisable is if you can publish in Q1, Q2, and Q3 would be better. This is my simple advice. And try not to consider Q4 because it may not give you much credibility. I mean, this is my opinion, as I told you. Okay, so it all depends on how, and it also depends on your research director or your research head, because uh, research head or the research dean or the research directors in institutions, they are the ones, they are the primary people who should be driving all these initiatives. Okay, and they will be the person to actually guide you where to publish and where not to publish. Okay, now coming back to the point of where to publish, now most of you have a question in your mind that, okay, I've been writing articles. Okay, I have some articles in the pipeline which I'm planning to publish. Okay, and you might be wondering, okay, which is the list that I need to usually look into. Okay, so obviously, if you see the next slide, Government of India has now the UGC care list. Okay, and I'm sure, and I think I'm certain that in the coming years, the UGC care list is again going to be refreshed, and there will be some removals and there will be some additions coming again. Okay, because I think every year UGC is now trying to monitor whether the uh, journal list that we have in the UGC care, whether they are worth enough, okay, whether they are absolutely fine. But my advice is, if you want to publish and if you want to get more recognition to the publication that you're doing, I would suggest you to look at these rankings given by many international bodies, across the globe. For example, the first three that you see on the slide is the French journal ranking system. I mean, you can go online, you can type, and you'll get all the PDF of ranking list. Okay, so they have rank 1, rank 2, rank 3, and rank 4 journals. Okay, so these three websites can actually give you information about the ranked journals in France. I mean, for example, if I'm working in France, so I'm obliged to make sure that the journals that I'm publishing should be under these three ranking categories. Okay, and based on that I publish. So the next one is BFI Denmark journal rankings. So in Denmark, the ministry has released, I mean, you can again get this online. You can go online, and BFI Denmark has only two rankings, rank 1 and rank 2. Okay, so they have list of journals where people actually publish. So you can actually check whether the journal you're planning to publish, whether they also have been indexed in the French journal rankings or in the Denmark journal rankings. You can actually have a look. Okay, the most widely used in India is the ABDC ranking Australia. Okay, I know that some of the institutions in IIM they actually follow ABDC ranking. Okay, and most of the top institutions which are accredited by AACSB in India, they also follow ABDC ranking. So ABDC ranking is a very easy, to recognize whether the journal that you're planning to publish, whether it has been indexed in one of the ABDC rankings. Okay, and I would suggest that since in India for point system and for promotion system, I think more or less most institutions are now considering Australian business ABDC ranking. So I would suggest you to please have a look at the ABDC journal ranking and try to match whether your journal is also indexed over there, whether your journal is ranked over there. Okay, so my question of where to publish is, I would suggest you to go through all this ranking. And some institutions in India, they also use ABS UK ranking. Okay, and in ABS UK ranking, you'll have most of the journals that has been listed in France, Denmark, Australia, but also there will be some other journals. Okay, there are multidisciplinary journals from personality, psychology, management science, logistics, operations, mathematical economics, econometrics. So many, and healthcare. So they have different classifications. Okay, so you might as well find the journals which you're planning to target on these list as well. Okay, so my advice would be that if you're planning to write an article, try to go to these journal ranking list. Try to identify, okay, which are those journals that actually have high recognition and how they are ranked. Okay, we have to be humble. We can start from a rank 4 journal first and then move to rank 3, then go to rank 2, and then go to rank 1. Okay, but we have to make a humble and ethical start. Okay, so never ever get duped by any journals which sends you an email that publish in 2 weeks, publish in 3 weeks, or publish in 1 month. Sometimes the credibility will be questioned. The reason why I emphasize this is because somewhere someone would be actually reading what you have written. Okay, and if somebody reads that, they should actually feel that, oh my god, this paper is actually very transforming. I can use this paper in my research. So this paper is very wonderful. I mean, the approach what they have used is brilliant. It shouldn't be just another paper, for the sake of publishing should be online. Okay, because some people are going to read your work, they are going to evaluate your work. It is not just you are carrying your own identity or image, you're going to basically carry your institution as well along with you. So tomorrow nobody should point out that this person from this institution actually published in a fake journal or actually was doing a dubious work. So you have to be extremely careful with that. Similarly, if you want to get more exhaustive list, is the classification of Italian journal ranking called AILG. Okay, you can also find this online. So the Italian classification has even more wider list, which can actually help you, kind of check. And the classifications are like gold star, gold, silver category, and then copper and bronze category journals. You can find, and all those journals are, although ranked, okay, they have been classified based on their impact factors. That is one of the reasons why you'll find some journals as high star and some journals as low star. But yet most of the journals that I'm trying to talk here, they do not take any money. However, there are a couple of journals which are highly ranked, which are very prestigious. They charge something called as processing fees or the color codification charges. So some journals have some obligation to charge for registration or for processing, but most of the time, 95% of the journals where I have actually checked, they don't charge any money. You submit, the editor is going to read your paper. If he is impressed, he will send it out for reviews. If he feels that it is not up to the mark, they will reject and they will give you the rejection report, and they will reject or they will tell you what you need to do. Or sometimes they will ask you to resubmit the article. Okay, so and another thing is, most people across India and even across Europe, we also refer to Herzing Journal Quality List. So this Herzing Journal Quality List, what it does is it combines all the countries' journal ranking into one. Okay, so when you go online, you can find this free PDF ranking file, and then you can see whether the journal that you are targeting is also listed here. So there are multiple avenues that I'm trying to share it with you, where you can go and check whether the journal that I want to publish my article is ranked, is indexed, and whether it comes in some ranking category of any of these countries, whether it is ranked in Italy, whether it is ranked in Australia, or in UK, or in France, or it is whether in Q1, Q2, or Q3 category of SGR. So these things should always be involved in your research and ethics process. Okay, so try to ensure that you need to target these kind of journals. Now, moving ahead, there are certain resources where you can also improve. Now, one of the things is there are a lot of free online courses that is happening, and especially in the last 3 months, due to this pandemic, I started to see that many of the courses became completely free. There were some paid courses online, and now they started to become completely free because they started to share knowledge. Because they don't wanted, they did not want people to actually waste their time sitting at home. So rather, many of the people started to take online courses. Okay, so you can actually take many of the free online courses related to research methods. And Enago Academy, the logo that you see, sometimes they also organize free webinars on how to publish high quality papers, how to use resources and tools to publish high quality papers. So they organize a lot of free webinars. So that can actually help you to log in and get more insights and information. So my suggestion would be try to log in and to this website and register for some course. It's always important for us to kind of log into these new things and study online and see how it can actually impact our learning capabilities. Okay, so my advice would be that try to register to some of these courses and see how it can actually help you. Okay, you never know that, sometimes most of the people who actually join may end up in collaborating. You'd be surprised that there will be a lot of people online taking this course, and you can be fortunate enough to find very good people who will be willing to work with you in future. Okay, now moving ahead, there are certain resources for research which I thought I should share it with you. Okay, so firstly, I mean, as you know that research resources, most of them are not actually free. Every institution has to invest a lot of money. Every universities has to pay money and take the licenses. But however, there are certain free informations that are available online, which I thought I should actually share it with you. First, number one is there is a website called managementscales.com, or which is also written as espmanagement.pacific.edu. This website can help you to get ready-made quantitative scales. Okay, sometimes if you're a quantitative researcher and if you want to have some measurement done, if you want to measure some of the constructs or some other things, so my suggestion is you can log on to this website, and it's completely free. You can write whatever constructs you are planning to measure. For example, let's say you want to measure stress, or let's say you want to measure ethics, or let's say you want to measure organizational citizenship behavior. So all these scales, valid and published in all the ranked journals. Most of the authors, they try to put the scales here. So you need not to worry about finding scales and having issues. So you go onto this website, you type this website, you type the keyword that is interested in you. I mean, that's relevant to your research, and then you can actually get ready-made scales. Okay, and those scales you can use it. It's all valid and it's all published in highly ranked journals. I want you to do this exercise trying to find some scales if you're free. Okay. The next one is most of you, I believe, also want to do quantitative surveys. For example, you want to collect data, and it has been a tradition where we've been using Google Docs, or there are some free online tools also, Survey Matrix and Survey Monkey. It has some free sources, and if you want to take more responses, you'll have to pay for it. Now, there is an open source software that I discovered accidentally while I was searching, and I was able to also publish a paper by collecting the data. Is called get4ice.com. Now, this website is open source, and you can collect responses up to 1,000 and now I think they have expanded it to 2,000 to 5,000. Okay, so imagine where you can use and it's very interesting. It's very user friendly. Okay, you can see like a dashboard, the responses that you're getting. Even before you complete your surveys, you'll try to get some kind of a picture in this website. It's very user friendly, very dynamic, and it has all the dashboards to help you. So this website is completely free, where you can use to collect free survey data. Okay, I mean, basically for quantitative research. So this is something I thought I should share it with you. The next one is one of the important resources while you're doing research, when you're trying to write article is, see, there are certain thumb rules in every domain, in every research discipline. Many of the scholars use is when you're trying to write an article to a journal. My advice would be that always try to refer or try to cite peer-reviewed articles rather than conference papers and book chapters. Okay, now conference papers and book chapters, recently in one of the conference that I attended, they've been sort of gray literatures. That means they do not follow the same standard of peer review process where the journal articles actually go through. Okay, so sometimes there might be some credibility issues. So in order to avoid those things, if you're a PhD scholar, or if you're an early stage professor, or even a senior professor, I would suggest you to only cite or majorly cite peer-reviewed journal articles than conference papers or book chapters. That's one of my advice. However, if you take in some disciplines, some disciplines expect people to even cite book or book chapters. Okay, so that depends on you and your discipline head. You need to talk to them, you need to understand, and there are resources on journals, in the journal websites. They actually say what are the things that they're expecting in terms of citation and everything. You'll get all the information. Okay, now moving ahead, I just wanted to give you some information about networking. Now, these are some of the networking tools that I regularly use, and I would suggest that all of you should start using it. Number one, the first logo that you see here is ResearchGate, okay, RG. So it's free online profile creating and for academics. So most of my research articles have been uploaded over there, and whoever, I mean, for example, if some of the articles where you see that you are not able to access it from your databases, or you don't have the license to download the article, so most of the faculties across the globe, what they do is they actually put up their articles on this website. Like you can see my profile or any other profile, and we put up the articles on this website, and if somebody is interested, they send us a request and we share the paper. Okay, so this is based on request and this is based on demand. You can log on to this website, and then you can ask professors to send their articles, and most of them, they would be happy to share their research. Okay, so one of the things for networking in today's world is having your profile strongly on ResearchGate. Okay, so that can actually help you increase your citations. People will start reading your work. Okay, and if there is any issues also, people will start advising you. You can post questions, you can get responses. So ResearchGate is a very good platform for academics. So my advice would be, so please create a profile on ResearchGate. Okay. The second one is Google Scholar. Now this is a must for all the academicians. Now having a profile on Google Scholar, it actually helps you a lot. One is you can get alerts to your research. If somebody has published a new paper, you'll start getting alerts. So Google Scholar is very simple, very easy. And my suggestion would be to have your profile over there. Now, Twitter has been very fascinating for me personally, because I have been able to collaborate with some new researchers, and I in fact had a publication recently published where I met one collaborator on Twitter. Okay, so there was a gentleman who was trying to tweet about something, and there was a lady who was responding to those tweets, and it happened to be that I was interested in that area of research, and I started to engage in those tweets, and we realized that, okay, why don't we discuss about this topic, and I'm sure we can write. So that discussion went on, and we had a common interest, and we were able to publish a paper. So Twitter can be a good tool for networking. You can find many interesting tweets written by many professors. Most of the professors, they just tend to write a tweet stating that, I'm looking for a collaborator to work on this paper. I'm looking for PhD students, looking for, faculties to join. So everything now is happening by just a matter of small tweet. So I would suggest that, try to be more active on Twitter, because you might end up networking with very good and great people. The next one is AOM Insights. So since I come from management and business background, Academy of Management, there is a body called Academy of Management, which is very prestigious body located in the US. Okay, and where most of the people, most of the scholars, most of the researchers, they try to write papers, and they try to win awards, and they try to publish their articles there. Highly recognized international bodies. So there, they have posted a lot of resources, and they also have their own own platform where you can register, and also you can network with other people. Okay, so, and another thing is they usually send insight newsletters. So my advice would be, try to give your email ID and join their listserv, and every week or every month you start to know what is happening. I mean, they send you all the latest and recent updates. Okay, what is happening across the globe. If somebody has published a paper in Harvard Business Review or California Management Review, or if there is some new thing that has emerged in digital disruption or some technological changes that is happening, so all those new information they try to gather, and they try to send it as a newsletter. So in order for us to be more aware of what's happening in the research world, so my advice would be to follow AOM Insight newsletter. Try to register yourself. The next one is, of course, most of you are already there, and most of you are aware, is LinkedIn. LinkedIn has been a phenomenal networking platform in order to collaborate with researchers. You can send requests, you can receive requests, and then you can also share about your research. You can put everything on your profile, looking for collaborators to work on this and this particular topic, looking for international people to join. These are the following help I can do. These are the following expertise that I have. So LinkedIn can also be a very, very strong tool. Okay, and you have the other one is Academy. Of course, this has free version and paid version to some extent. So I would still say that you can still have your profile over there and see how you can collaborate. Okay, and other than this, my another advice is on Facebook. Most of the journals now they have their own Facebook page. So try to check which are those journals that are listed in Facebook page, and try to like them or follow them or join their group. There are a lot of discussions that actually happen. I'm part of some of the research groups online on Facebook where we engage in very stimulating discussion about peer review process, journal ranking systems, and how do we improve the education standards, etc., etc. So there will be people posting questions, there will be people responding, and at times you can still be you can actually find some collaborators, and you never know, you can end up writing or getting collaborated on joint research. So I would suggest you also be very active on Facebook, but these are the normal ones. As a researcher, I would advise you to be very active, because social media is now extremely strong tool, and it is going to definitely help you to collaborate. Now, if me and you, if we are able to interact, is because I happened to meet some of the colleagues of Basveshwar Engineering College on online, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and then we had some common friends, and then we had discussions. So that is how we were able to collaborate, and we have to thank technology for that. So my suggestion is, try to have your profiles and all these things that I have told, and try to give your email IDs to AOM Insight Letter to get everyday knowledge, to be aware of what is happening in the management and research world or in the business world. You'll get a lot of information on that. Okay. So moving ahead, I also wanted to give you some information about free online tools. Now, there is an online tool called WAS Viewer. Now, this is a bibliographic database software which is available for free. It's open source, you can download. But one of the necessity for this is you need to have access to Scopus database or Web of Science or PubMed. Okay, if you're a researcher, and I think as far as I know, most of the university, I think almost all the universities in India have access to Web of Science, because I have visited many universities during my vacations, and I have seen students using Web of Science. So if you use Web of Science database, and if you want to work on bibliometrics, if you want to work on some literature reviews, there is a free tool called WAS Viewer. You can download this software. You have all the manuals given. Okay, I wish I could explain that, because I use this a lot, but due to the time limit, I'm just going to give you some information about it. So this free tool can actually help you review and map your literature. It will give you some kind of a brief overview of what is actually happening in the literature review. So this one I would suggest you to have it. Okay, but as I told you, provided you have access to Scopus database or Web of Science database, okay, or PubMed if you're from a medical field. So if you have access to these databases, you can play around with this free software, and it will help you review your literature scientifically. It will give you maps and everything. It's really wonderful tool. Okay, and also it is necessary for most of you to have a bibliographic organizer tool, which is called Mendeley, which is absolutely free of cost, which I also use. So this will organize all your bibliographic database, and I would suggest that please use Mendeley. And there are some programming tools now available online. There are open source R programming tool, and one of them is BiblioShiny. So I would suggest you to do some sort of exploration and trying to see. You can download RStudio and you can use this package, and this package will help you to conduct literature reviews, to conduct mapping, and to understand the citations in journal. So this tool is also free, and you can use it for free of cost. Okay, and Google Scholar, as most of you know, we've been using Google Scholar for searching articles, for downloading articles. So that is something I'm sure most of you know that. And ResearchGate, as I told you, the moment you have your profile being on ResearchGate, there are many articles that you can download for free, and there are some articles where you can send requests, and based on the request you can get the articles also. Okay, and of course one of the most widely used is the Sci-Hub, and most of you know about this because it's not anymore a secret, because many institutions across the globe are using this sometimes when you don't have access to many of the top journals. So people usually go and decode the documents using this Sci-Hub website. And for those of you who are in need of sort of working on improving your English, and you need some help and assistance in terms of rephrasing the words, and in terms of making sure that you want to be plagiarism free, and where you want to write using some proper grammar, there is a free tool called Killbot. Of course, if you take a paid version, then you can extend the number of words to 10,000. But if you take a free version, it's still okay. You can still do, I think, 500 to 1,000 words at a time. So I would suggest you to use the Skillbot grammar tool, which is very, very interesting, and it can actually help you to sort of improvise your English in terms of writing. So it gives you corrections, it gives you paraphrasing, and it also gives you some kind of word spinning where you're trying to refer something, but you don't know how to change it in a different context. That free software can actually help you online do that. Okay, so my suggestion is to use that. The next one, probably I'm coming to the end of the slide, is I recently discovered a website called Voyant. Okay, so I would suggest most of you to actually have a look at this. So this website, what it does is, for example, let's say you have around 100 abstracts, or let's say you're trying to write a literature and you happen to get 50 abstracts into a Excel file. So you can upload the documents, and this generates beautiful word clouds, and it is going to give you summary. It is going to give you the context in which it has been done and the trends of some of the papers that has been used. Okay, so let's say, for example, if you have an interview data, okay, an interview data which is around 5,000 words, or let's say it's around 10,000 words, and you want to sense that, which are the important keywords in this particular 10,000 word interview data. What are the keywords that I should be more focusing on? Okay, so you can actually upload those 10,000 words onto this website, and then this website will generate, okay, these are the most occurring keywords, and these are the keywords where I see that there are some relations, and these are the context, and these are the summaries, and this is the word cloud for you. So if you're doing an interview about, let's say, motivations and leadership, and some people would have said that, for me, intrinsic motivation is very important, or self-motivation is very important. So if that has appeared many of the times in your 10,000 word interview document, so this software or this website can actually give you some information on that. Okay, it's very simple to use, very easy. You just put the documents, and it is also going to give you connection to words. For example, if self-motivation has been used, so self-motivation is connected to what other documents. You can get everything, and this is free to use as well. Okay, and you can use this in your research if you're a qualitative researcher, or if you want to write any conceptual papers. These kind of websites can actually help you, in order to quantify some of your writings, and get more information on what is relevant and what is happening inside my data. So these websites can actually help you. So coming back to the last, I was trying to tell you that, why research ethics are important, and there are a number of reasons, as you might know. Okay, so the idea of me coming today and talking to you about ethics in research is because, see, somewhere down the line, we have to question ourselves. As I told you in the beginning, we need to question ourselves. Why am I doing research? What is my contribution? Okay, am I doing it effectively? Am I being honest? Okay, do I follow ethical guidelines? Am I being honest to my institution? Am I being honest to myself? You need to start asking questions to yourself. We need to have that passion, and we need to follow certain guidelines. Okay, knowingly never submit a paper to some predatory or fake journals. There are some journals from some part of country, I don't want to name that country, where they have beautiful titles for the journals, and they charge $500 to publish. Okay, and don't ever get duped with that. They're indexed as well, but they charge $500. I mean, you end up paying like 50,000-60,000 just to publish there, and the review process takes more and more and more time. So I would suggest, there are some journals. For example, there is a journal. If I may, I can show you one of the journals which I wanted to. Now, I don't know if all of you are able to see this, but this is one of the journals which, in management and organization studies, where we all use. It's called Development and Learning in Organization. So this journal accepts article only written in 1,200 words. Imagine 1,200 words, which is not more than 4 to 5 pages. Okay, so I would suggest you to look into such journals, and they are free to publish. They don't charge any single money. You send your article. If they find it good, they will review it, and they will send the review reports to you, and you work on it, and then you can get it published. So there are very many such journals available online. Try to do a lot of research. So if this journal can expect, only 1,200 words, imagine such a short article. They only publish short articles. So there are a lot of opportunity for you, to even publish shorter versions of the paper. Okay, so that is why we as scholars and we as researchers, we need to do a lot of research. Okay, we have to see, okay, I have a very short piece of article, is there any journal that would accept these kind of papers? You will have very stimulating argument written on COVID-19. You might have a paper that has been written on the impact of COVID-19 on research, or the how to cope up with COVID-19. You might have very interesting thoughts from an organizational perspective, from an individual perspective, or from institutional perspective. So if you might be looking for such short articles, there are many journals out there which only expect people to write in 1000 or 1200 words. So the example that I showed you, they only expect people to write in 1200 words the entire article. Go to the journal, download some of their articles, see how people have written, try to read them again and again. And then I'm certain that you will get motivation that, oh my God, they have written it so concisely here. I think I can also do this. Let me put my own thoughts. And 1200 words is not difficult. So similarly, there are other journals which expect people to write only in 3000 words. Number of journals. The journal list that I told you in the beginning about the journal rankings that I use, so most of them have listed many of such journals, okay, which expect people to write in very short summary or short essays. So as I told you, why research ethics is important is because somewhere someone is going to read your work, okay, and we actually promote, the institution promotes their contribution with research and ethics. Okay, so researchers can be held accountable. Tomorrow, if you're not following any guidelines, you will be held accountable. So UGC is monitoring, AICT is monitoring, the institutions are being very, very careful. They're advising their professors not to get into any of the fake journals and be very serious about what they're trying to do. Okay, so you need to follow certain regulations, don't have any conflicts of interest, okay, and make sure that you do not conduct any you don't have any misconduct in your research. And as I told you, every research is based on passion, every research is based on our intuition, and every research is based on now ethics. Okay, so when people trust you and when institution has utmost trust on you, so we should be ethical, at least in research, because we know the research, anything that you do, anything that you want to publish, it will be on public domain. Tomorrow anybody can access it, and tomorrow anyone can actually question it. Okay, they can easily question you that, hey, listen, I read your research and I think your results are completely wrong. And somebody might write a mail to the editor and ask him to retract the paper. So you will be a victim of that. So don't be. Okay, so as I told you that I get a lot of invitations from many of the in publication houses from across the world. They ask me that, can you please write a paper for us, we'll pay you money for this, and could you please have one or two authors from our side, we would like to pay you money for this. Don't do that. The publication pressure has now increased in India, and I don't deny that. Okay, and I know most of you have a lot of work to do, a lot of catching up to do, because some of you might be lagging behind in terms of research, and that for your next year promotion, or for to progress in your future, and for some doctoral scholars to even get into jobs. Okay, now publications are very, very important, right? So that is why my sincere request is, whatever information I have shared in this talk, try to use them. Okay, so if you have any doubts, if you are in a dilemma on choosing or what to do, always talk to your research head, always talk to your department head, always talk to your research team. They can actually contact me, in case of any dilemmas that you have. They can write an email to me, and I don't mind answering that. Okay, but make sure that you follow strict guidelines, because now UGC is very strict. That is why I told you and I showed you in the beginning that why UGC made it mandatory for students of PhD program, that why they should follow research and publication ethics, because they are very vulnerable. Okay, so some publication houses are out there trying to catch people who are very young. So they know that, okay, PhD students are easy targets for us. So they'll give a beautiful, very flashy and fancy names for their journals, and they try to attract. And there are very many misleading metrics they use. Some metrics we don't even know. international journal impact factor, IJF, journal this factor, that factor, which we have never heard of. Try to always cross check them. Okay, try to find their legitimacy, whether they are registered in SJR, whether they are registered in any ranking system, what is their credibility, editorial board, all those things you need to check. And as I told you, if it comes a time where you need to pay and publish, my suggestion would be, why do you want to pay and publish? Send it to some journals which don't even ask anything from you. Okay, so what we do is we send to, I have published so far in all the journals where I have never paid a single money. I publish, the journal holds the copyright, the journal has it on their databases, and if I want to share that journal and if I want to reach most of the people, I put it on ResearchGate. Some journals now you can see are free to download. Okay, some articles, sorry, and some other articles send us a request and we will send the paper to you. So we are doing it ethically. So as I told you, morals, values are very important. So my advice would be, so please follow strict ethical guidelines. Try to advise your PhD students, not to become a prey of some people who are out there, who are trying to hunt down, who are trying to make you as a victim, who are trying to get money from you. And there are instances where there are some websites which have all the flashy information. I had a colleague from the US where he realized that his name was used without the consent of him. So you need to be online. You need to keep searching your name on Google just to make sure that is there someone using your name? Because for me, when I keep searching about my identity online, I see there are so many people who have used my name. Okay, although some people take my consent to use my name in some research or other things, there are some people who have just written my name. So I have to send them, I have to tell them that, can you please remove my name? I don't know your journal and you have put my name as the editorial board member. So this can happen because there are some people who just want to do people using online system and they would never come. You would never see them. Okay, there might be somebody sitting in some part of the country and doing all these activities and still taking money from you. Okay, so that is why ethics is very important. So as I told you, where to publish, where not to publish is very, very important. With that, I just want to leave you with the 10 commandments of research that I strongly follow. Okay, this can actually help you in your forthcoming research or in your future research. And when you're doing this, do it ethically. Okay, why? Or this is what I'm focusing on. Try to identify a research area and write, this is what I'm focusing on. Then tell to the audience, this is why this is why this research is relevant. And then talk to the audience, this is what is known and this is why it needs attention. And then say, what is your burning question? Why do you think this research is very important? Okay, and if you feel that this research is very important, this is how I aim to address, and tell to the audience that this is how you're taking the approach and this is how you're planning to address. And then once you have addressed the problem, then say, this is what you did. Okay, and this is what you found, and this is what it means, and this is what I'm going to add, and this is why all the research people across the world should care. Okay, so this is, although it's a bit out of my topic, but I thought I should share it with you because this 10 commandments of research has always helped me in doing. If I'm confused with any of my research, so I take these 10 questions and then I start answering. Okay, why should I focus on this research? Why is this relevant? Okay, how am I going to address? Okay, if this is what I did, this what it means for future, what it means for organization, what it means for individuals, what it means for employees. Okay, so this 10 commandments of research can actually help you. And with this, I would like to finish my presentation. Okay, I believe I have taken approximately 1 hour, and now I am open for questions.
Yes, sir. Sir, we have some questions now.
Yes, please.
Friends have asked us.
Yes.
So, just 1 second, sir. I'll ask you the questions. So we have a person from, just 1 second. Yeah, there is a question. How do we categorize the Scopus index journals, sir? That is Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. That's the question what they have.
Now, Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4, as I told you, there is a website called Shimago Journal Ranking, SJR. Okay, Shimago journal ranking. You can simply go to that website. You can type the journal's name, and once the result appears on the bottom of the journal, you will see the quartile 1, quartile 2, or quartile 3 ranking. So that should be very easy for you to quantify. Okay, and also when you see whether it is Q1, Q2, and Q3, you can also go to the website of that particular journal and check whether they are indexed in Scopus. Okay, so that is, I mean, that's how you can actually match.
Okay. Sir, one more question. If a journal is listed in UGC CARE Group 2, Scopus source list, but it is not Scopus covered, it shows discontinued or till 2009 it has been continued. Can we publish in that journal, they're asking? It is there in UGC list, but Scopus it has been removed, if I'm correct. That's the question.
Okay, so if it is there in UGC list and if Scopus has removed it, so I think my personal advice would be not to publish, okay, because there might be some reasons why Scopus has removed it, okay, and after some point of time, I believe even UGC would be aware of it and they might also, drop down that journal from their list. So that's something I would say probably not to take it.
Okay, sir.
I think there is one question that I see. What is the average review period of a good journal? I would like to answer that to Mr. Ashish Garg. Mr. Ashish, the average good review period of any of the standard or very good journal is approximately 4 to 6 weeks. Okay, so normally in 1.5 months of time, you will get all the information about review reports. However, the journals which are called the A-star journals or highly, like for example, the Financial Times top 50 journals, they usually take 2.5 to 3 months. Okay, for example, I have a paper where I submitted in, I think I submitted somewhere in September and I got my first review reports only by December. So because those journals sometimes take additional time, they send it for additional reviews because when an editor is in some kind of a dilemma to see whether I should reject this paper or select this paper, that sometimes what happens is they take a bit of a time. Okay, so as I told you that the average period in a standard good journal would be approximately 4 to 6 weeks. That is in 1.5 months of time, you should be able to get it. At the most it's 2 months, not more than 2 months. So standard good journals.
Okay, sir. I mean, I think you answered the same question. I mean, a person has published in ISN journals, but so far they have published. Some of them they have asked this question. They are published in ISN journals, but whether they are referred in Scopus or UGC care list, they don't know. And now they are going to, I mean, after getting this information, they are going to publish there. Now, what about those journals? I mean, what about the resume there? What basically they are concerned with?
So now I think this is a very important question. See, when you're about to publish, okay, you're about to publish and you have you're not sure whether this journal is indexed in Scopus or whether this journal is not indexed in Scopus. As I told you, please log on to that SJR, Shimago journal ranking. At least the journal should appear there. If the journal is not even appearing there, then I would have my own doubts. Okay. Now, to give you some example, what happens is I have friends across, one of my friend in Australia used to tell me that, they have a system in place where, for example, if you send your resume, they have a software which actually tries to scan, the journals where you have published, and based on that, the system itself can reject your resume. Okay, so the system will not even send that CV to inbox of that person. So standards have improved so high now. Okay, so that is one of the reasons why I tell you that if you want to publish, it's at your own risk. Okay, even though the journal is indexed in ISBN numbers or ISSN number or whatever it is, please try to check the legitimacy of it by logging on to SJR, by checking it in Scopus, and also by checking it in other journal list. And if it is not indexed in UGC care list, so I would suggest please don't go for that. Okay, if it is indexed in UGC list, and then if you feel that you still have a dilemma, then try to change it. Why don't you actually publish it in another journal, because that's your research work. That's what I'm telling you. Ethics is very important. See, sometimes I take at least, if I finish a paper in January, I take at least 2 to 3 months in understanding, okay, which journal is better to send, which journal I should actually target. So I would suggest you to do that.
Sir, that Q1 to Q1, Q4, please can you repeat the website, sir? People are asking that.
Sir, it's called Shimago. I think what I'll do is I'll try to put this here. Okay, I'm trying now.
Okay.
I'll just I've just posted it now. Shimago Journal Ranking, or it's also called SJR Journal Ranking. Right. So on this website, they can go and they can check the credibility. So, so the rankings, I think Dr. Fakhruddin has asked a question about, clarify about Q1 to Q4. So basically they are quartile 1, quartile 2. That means ranking is given based on their impact factor, based on their citation increases, and based on the co-citation increases, and based on number of publication a journal does. Okay. So based on that, every journal gets a category of ranking, Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. So my suggestion or my advice would be to also follow Q1 to Q3. Okay, Q4, I don't say they are bad or anything. They are also good. I have also published a paper in Q4, but in order to increase your future, value, I would suggest to focus between Q1, Q2, and Q3. Okay, if at most, if you have a paper which is not getting published in Q1, Q2, and Q3, in Q4, at least find those journals which are ranked in any of the journal ranking list that I gave you in the beginning. Okay, so that would probably help you.
Okay, so I think
there is one more question. Is that all the journal which has the ISBN and ISS number a good journal and are recognized by UGC? As I told you, if the journal has an ISBN number, if the journal has an ISSN number, okay, and if it is recognized by UGC, and if it is inside the UGC care list, okay, you are allowed to publish it. However, why don't you also see whether this journal is indexed in SJR, whether they are mentioned in scientific journal ranking, whether they are indexed in Scopus? Because now UGC is trying to consider Scopus index journal, more rather than the other open journals. So my suggestion would be to probably go with Scopus index journals. That should be primary importance rather than just ISSN or ISBN numbers.
Okay, a lot of questions are flooding in, sir.
No, let it come, sir. I think I'm also able to see. Somebody has asked a question. Bunita has asked a question. What is the difference of impact between UGC Group 1 journals and UGC Group 2 journals? Now, honestly, Bunita, I think this one, I'm sorry, I don't know, because I don't follow much of UGC care list or journals. Okay, I only know, and I have the list with me, but I don't know the difference between UGC Group 1 and Group 2. This information, your research dean or research head should be giving you. Okay, you can probably ask them, and I'm sure that they will be able to help you. Okay. And somebody has asked a question about plagiarism free software. Unfortunately, there is not yet a open source plagiarism software, but there are some free check, paper rater. These are some of the free plagiarism limited versions that you can actually find. But unfortunately, the standard and most of the other plagiarism softwares are actually paid ones. Sorry for that. So far, no open access has yet come. If it comes, definitely I would have shared with you.
Oh, that's superb, sir.
Yeah.
I think you have almost answered all the questions. And if participants have
sorry, I can't hear you.
More questions, then if you need any. Hello. Yeah.
Yes,
So
yes.
They had a lot of questions. I think most of the questions have been answered, and mainly the questions were regarding Scopus and the UGC care. I think we have answered those questions. I think you have answered, sir.
Yeah, and, you can probably ask other people if they have anything. Some people have asked, can you please send the PPT? I think the PPT will be sent to Dr. Sanjay, and Dr. Sanjay will send it to all the people who have registered. Okay, so the PPT will come back to you so that you can follow it up, and the video link will also remain for 2 weeks. You can again come back and see the video and get information. If you ever find any troubles or any issues, and you can always send emails to Dr. Sanjay, and or you can send messages through your dean or dean of research or director of research. If there is any sort of a dilemma, I would be able to also help in whatever way I can. Okay, but my sincere request is please follow UGC guideline, as I told you in the beginning that I showed you. You have to be extremely ethical now, because the entire world is going to watch what we are doing. Okay, so everybody are going to read, and everybody are going to research, everybody are going to give feedback on what you're going to write and put it on the public domain. Okay, because research will definitely be on the public domain, so we have to be very, very careful.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions that we can take up?
I think no, sir. I think no. Most of the questions have been answered.
Okay, I think another question from Ashish Garg is: should we send a paper for publication in one journal at one time? Yes, absolutely, Mr. Ashish. Please follow this ethics, because if it is very unethical if you are planning to send the same article to two journals at a time. Okay, so that's not accepted. I would strongly suggest that please don't do, and only send it to one journal at a time, and wait for 1 or 2 months. If you don't get any replies, you can write an email to the editor and ask him what is the progress or what is the status, but don't ever submit one article to two journals at the same time. It's very unethical. Okay, and some of you have asked a question: is it ethical to use Sci-Hub? Absolutely, it's not ethical. But however, okay, where people are not getting access. See, for me, I believe in sharing knowledge. Okay, and there are times when I have some friends and I have some researchers in India who are absolutely brilliant researchers, but when they want to get access to some of these interesting articles, so obviously they would get into this website and they download it. If although many universities across the globe and many institutions have blocked that website, but still people go on a personal level and try to get it. Okay, so I wouldn't say it is very ethical or unethical. Obviously it's unethical, but it is not something I would say is hampering someone's quality or something is happening. You're just going to get knowledge out of it. So I would be very neutral on this matter.
Sir, one more question is there.
Yes.
Toolbot or Grammarly, which is better? I mean,
well, Grammarly is a free software that helps you to correct small grammar mistakes. Okay, but Killbot is something where if you want to, let's say for example, you're reading an article, okay, and you want to cite that article in a very different way, and you start writing those in your own words, and you don't know how to actually frame it correctly. So this particular website, Killbot, can actually help you to kind of make sure that your writing improves and then everything remains clear.
Okay, so I think that. Okay.
Well, I think there's one question from Dr. Fakhruddin. Are you feeling universities are following these guidelines? Now, this I cannot say whether universities are following guidelines. I believe forget about university, forget about anybody else. We have to question ourselves: are we following ethical guidelines? Okay, so let's be ethical to ourselves. Let's do ethics, ethical based research. Let's publish in journals where we know they're legitimate, rather than we wait for someone to tell us. That is why, as I told you, UGC let out this huge invitations and notices all across the globe. Okay, all across India. Sorry, the reason is very simple. Okay, whether institution does or not, individual have to do it. We have to maintain the academic integrity. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to emphasize on it.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I think
there are some other questions, but I don't get to see them. Maybe you are getting the questions. I'm getting questions very, very slowly here on the platform. If you have questions, please ask.
However, sir, what we can do is, most frequently asked questions, we can ask you that, and type this thing. We can send it to the participants' email addresses, because a lot of
they can always post questions also. About this.
Publishing articles without fees. Mention name of journals. So they're asking, mention name of journals publishing articles without fees.
So the list that I shared in the beginning, ABDC journal ranking list, BFI Denmark journal ranking list, Italian journal classification, okay, and France CNRS classification. 99% of the journals, they don't charge any money. Okay, you send your article, they do the review. If they're happy, you finish the review process and it will be published for free of cost. So they don't charge any money. And every journal website will mention the author guidelines, and they mention the review process very clearly. They say no publication fees will be asked from the submitting participants. Okay, so many journals put it in very bold letters, so you can actually check that as well online. I think there is one very interesting question from Bimal Thapa. Good journals still charge money in the name of publication. Mr. Bimal, it depends on the ranking of the journal. Okay, for example, we have a Journal of Economic Behavior. It has extremely good impact factor, but this journal charges something called as registration fees of $150. Okay, I'll tell you the reason why. Some institutions will be funded, and some journals will have some kind of an agreement between the publishers. So why they charge this one is because they want to make their articles completely free, accessible to all the public across the globe. Okay, so in that process, what happens, the publisher will have some kind of an obligation, to get some revenue out of it. So that is why some very good journals charge very nominal fees, whereas there are some journals which come from other countries, they charge $500, $600, $800. Okay, my suggestion for your question would be is try to see if they are ranked. If they are highly ranked in the list that I gave in the beginning, then absolutely no problem in paying for that and publishing. But if they are not indexed in Scopus, okay, and if they are charging hefty amount of money, $500, $600, $700, I actually shared one of the journals, Development and Learning in Organization, which takes only 1,200 word article, publishes for free. Why not publish there? Head, and if you're still in a dilemma, then try to send those papers to those journals which don't charge any administrative or process fees. As I told you, since this session is going online, and since this session is going to be video recorded, I am not able to share many of the extreme hidden information or the screenshots that I had, because it might sort of create controversy, or it might contradict some people, because we never know who or how someone would react. So my suggestion is to follow what I have told here, and I would say that try first to send it to a non-paid journal, and then if that doesn't work out, then you have to discuss with your research head. But I would still say please publish for free, because there are enough journals out there, they don't charge any money to publish. Any other question? What are the key things editor check during initial desk review? Dr. Ashish, this would take a lot of time for me to explain, because I am also a guest editor for 2 journals. We consider, as I told you, the last slide of the 10 commandments of research. I usually take those questions and refer the articles. I'll see what is the relevance, whether they have addressed the research question properly. I see the introduction, then I see the conclusion, and then I see the implication. When I read these 3 sections, I'll come to know whether an article is justifying what has been written. So I actually look into that.
Dr. Anand, I think we'll stop here, because there are a couple of questions. I mean, there might be more questions here, because I've already exceeded our time. We've taken a lot of your time, valuable time here.
No problem.
And participants, please pardon us because of the time constraints. Maybe we have to stop the session here. We are sure that It is very interesting, and a lot of doubts may still remain, but major doubts have been cleared, we feel. And I think participants might have learned a lot of things from this webinar. Very informative, Dr. Anand, and I personally also enjoyed to the fullest and learned a lot of things in this webinar, sir. So before I say anything, I'd like to propose the vote of thanks. Firstly, I'd like to thank Dr. Anand, Amitabh Anand, for being here with all of us today. And I think a lot of research scholars and research guides and a lot of people who are starting research now, and students who are watching this have got a lot of information. And Dr. Anand himself is a very good researcher, and he has published in top reputed journals. And because of publications, he is with the top business school as well. And definitely this workshop might have helped many people, not only in management domain, engineering and other domains, because slightly here and there things change, but more or less things remain same in all the domains. So thank you, Dr. Anand, for sparing time with all of us. Thank you. And of course, I thank our backbone for this function, Dr. S.S. Engineering, Principal, Basveshwar Engineering College, Pagalkot, and entire management team of BEC as well as BVV Sangha. And also thank faculty members, BEC DOMS team, who have helped us, who have been working so hard to make this happen. Thank you. I thank my colleagues and student friends who have been helping us to carry out this process. Thank you, student friends, and entire engineering college, the server room for making this internet connection and reaching out to the entire world, and all supporting staff who helped us. And of course, we also thank all the participants from all over the world, all over India, who have been there here, because you are the main people, center of attraction here, because without you, there will be no talks here. So thank you for participating. I think it has helped you all, and keep tuned in with BC DOMS team. You can subscribe our channel. A lot more webinars are coming up. We have one more webinar day after tomorrow on leadership. So, however, the brochures will be sent to all of you shortly. And of course, and once again, thank everybody for attending here, being online. Thank you one and all. Thank you, Anand, Dr. Anand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.